10 p.m. here in Accra, Ghana, 6 a.m. in Beijing, China. I am Grace Hamwa Asari with news at 10 on TV3. First, let's take a look at the news highlights. Ghana and China have signed 8 cooperation agreements and memoranda of understanding in different sectors of their respective economies. The agreement and MOUs are aimed at deepening the ties of cooperation and the bonds of friendship that exists between the two countries. The Chinese President Xi Jinping has assured of his preparedness to work with his Ghanaian counterpart to ensure relations between the two countries take the lead on the African agenda. According to the Chinese president, that 58-year-old traditional friendship and historic bond between China and Ghana, which was nurtured by Mao Zedong, Kwame Nkrumah and others, must be allowed to flourish. "85 investigators from 9 state agencies have been trained in mobile money fraud, piracy, and intellectual property rights investigation." The move by the Criminal Investigations Department of the Ghana Police Service, in collaboration with MTN and the Ministry of Trade, was in response to the growing reports of cases in these crimes. The police in Anya, here in the Greater Accra region, have arrested a 41-year-old graphic designer for defrauding by false pretenses and impersonation. The suspect, Gilbert Asante, posed as a producer of Beast of No Nation and was in the process of auditioning for the Akan version of the movie. When we go to sports, Kumasi Asante Kotoko achieved a double over Beatrice rivals Hearts of Folk with another 2-0 victory at the Baba Yara Stadium on Sunday. It was the same scoreline recorded at the same venue last week in the first league encounter. Many thanks for joining us. We are also live on DSTV channel 279. Let's go to our first story. The President of the People's Republic of China, Xi Jinping, has stressed that he is prepared to work with his Ghanaian counterpart, President Akufo-Addo, to ensure that relations between Ghana and China take the lead on the African continent. According to President Xi, the deep historic bond between China and Ghana, which was nurtured by leaders such as Mao Zedong, Kwame Nkrumah and others, which has resulted in a 58-year-old traditional friendship, must flourish.
The Chinese leaders were confident that under their joint leadership, Ghana and China would enrich the friendship and cooperation between the two countries. Describing Ghana as a trustworthy friend and good partner for development, President Xi assured President Akufo-Addo of his commitment to intensify cooperation with Ghana. The Chinese leader assured of Beijing's commitment to finance the construction of the Jamestown Fishing Port Complex. He also promised the construction of a new cocoa processing facility, in line with President Akufo-Addo's vision of adding value to Ghana's raw materials. On defense cooperation, President Xi Jinping announced the provision of a 50 million Chinese yuan grant in military assistance, which will also aid in the construction of the headquarters of Ghana's armed forces. President Xi also pledged his government will encourage Chinese firms to invest in Ghana and take advantage of programs such as One District, One Factory, planting for food and jobs, infrastructural development initiatives, particularly in the roads, railway and the energy sectors, amongst others.
Let's stay around this area, and Ghana and China have signed 8 cooperation agreements and memoranda of understanding in different sectors of their respective economies. The agreement and MOUs are aimed at deepening the ties of cooperation and the bonds of friendship that exist between the two countries.
The agreements are the One Belt, One Road Memorandum of Understanding, Memorandum on Regional Aviation Cooperation, Agreement for Cooperation in the Peaceful Use of Nuclear Energy, and Cooperation to Carry Out Maternal and Child Health Projects. The rest are Framework Agreement on Financing Insurance Cooperation, Economic Cooperation on Phase 2 project of the University of Health and Allied Sciences WHO, Cooperation on the expansion of the Cape Coast Stadium, and Cooperation on the supply of police vehicles to the Ghana Police Service.
We're counting on you in the way in which you worked with Bowie Dam, with high quality work, that will also be a feature of the arrangements that we're making with Sino-Hydro. And therefore, Ghana too is very keen on providing as much support as possible to make the Sino-Hydro arrangement come on stream quickly. My understanding is that the agreement that was signed this morning with the Sino-Shore agreement, with the signing of the agreements this afternoon that we're going to do here, will complete virtually the entire group of documentation that was required to get the Sino-Hydro transaction.
Later in the day, President Akufo-Addo held bilateral talks with Premier of the State Council of the People's Republic of China, Li Qingquan, where matters involving infrastructural development, communications, and oil and gas were discussed. The president told the Chinese premier that a significant focus of his visit to China has to do with the $2 billion Sino-Hydro transaction.
Professor Vladimir Intridanso is an international relations expert and the Dean of Academic Affairs, Ghana Armed Forces Command and Staff College. He joins me on the phone line, so we talk a lot more on this. Good evening to you, Prof, and thank you for joining us.
Good evening, and good evening to your viewers.
Prof, so how would you describe Ghana-China relations over the past 6 decades?
Well, it has been extremely cordial. There have been little ups and downs, probably about the Kalamsi and other, but generally one would say that it has been very, very effective. China was one of the countries that quickly recognized our independence and had diplomatic relations with us since Nkrumah's time. They started helping us with our projects. They started understanding Ghana's development needs, and were very close to Nkrumah. Kufuor's time, we joined the FOCAC, that is a forum for China-Africa cooperation. President Kufuor himself was there. And since then, I think Ghana-China relationship has been very, very strong. The Bowie Dam construction, a lot of infrastructure development in Ghana has been undertaken by Chinese companies. And I think we are getting on very well. China is beginning to understand Africa, and they have a completely different understanding of how to deal with Africa and Africa's development. And if we are able to catch them very well, then we'll be able to get something from the Chinese. And I believe that our president is on that line.
So, Prof, some will say China is seeking to take over Africa. Just like you said, they are beginning to understand Africa with their loans and investment at various strategic countries. Did you share in this view?
Well, I share the view that China, yes, really, in the developmental sense, want to help Africa. The only thing is that we always want to go to China instead of bringing China to Africa. And that's the new understanding that our president is starting where others haven't. You know, if you begin going to China, you're helping them. They will give you everything. That's like their production. You want to import from them, you are importing. I mean, they wouldn't care. It's trade. But if you allow Chinese investment to be with you, then you are helping yourself. And that is, I think, what we need. And that is what the understanding I'm talking about. These days, the Chinese have had a lot of flack under labor laws, human rights, etc., etc. And today they are believing that if they don't change and have better goods coming to Africa and better products for Africa, then they will be left again. And so this time, I think we as Ghanaians and the government itself must ensure that what we are taking from China is not just a one-way kind of traffic, but then what is in China that we are going to take can be produced here. And that is what I think the president is about.
So, Prof, it takes me to my next question. There is this fear that anytime China comes into a country, they bring in their own labor, which ordinarily could have been done by the local indigenous or the people in that country. What should we be doing this time to deal with this situation?
It depends on the government in power. If you don't want the Chinese to cheat you, you have a way of dealing with them, because they always believe in a win-win situation. Or in most cases, actually, if you allow yourself to be, to be deceived and or to have the dumping of their goods on you, they would want it. Who doesn't want that? Many countries have suffered. Zambia now knows how to deal with the Chinese. Sudan is already still suffering because almost 90% of whatever they do over there is Chinese. Several other countries, Zimbabwe, in fact, they've covered more than about 43 African countries where they are dealing seriously with these African countries. It depends on what agreement we sign with. It depends on how we are very focused. In most instances, we are not very focused. Our development officers begin to show signs of weakness, and therefore the Chinese have their way. But if you know how to deal with the Chinese, you deal with them very well. I'm particularly very much worried about Chinese military equipment, for example. And I believe that if anything, they should come and help manufacture some of those minor things and help our military-industrial kind of complex also to take off, rather than we importing most of the things that they sent us. The boats they've sent us, everybody is complaining about that. Is it the Embraer or the presidential jets that they sent? We are complaining about it. So once we've complained about something, then we must have our specifications and be able to deal with them on equal footing. In Angola, they've cheated Angola to the extent that the new government is now finding ways of dealing with them. We have specialists who are knowledgeable. Let us have them to be very, very meticulous about what we do, how we deal with the Chinese.
So, Prof, let's move a bit away from China, because President Trump is yet to appoint an Assistant Secretary of State for African Affairs, showing the U.S. seeming lack of interest in Africa. Will you say the void being created by the U.S. will be filled by China in the next decade?
The point is that we must always know that in the sense of geopolitics, once one country is trying to make inroads, the other country is watching. The China Silk Belt Road and that kind of thing is to affect the whole world, and Americans are not happy. Look at what Djibouti has done. They were able to give one part of the sea to the Chinese, the other part to the Americans. If you like, stay. If you don't like, let's deal with each other. That's the way we need to go. And so, yes, the Americans will never be happy if we are accepting Chinese. And they will use all global institutions to affect us. For example, the IMF, the World Bank. I wasn't very happy when I heard that we are seeking advice from the World Bank whether what we are taking from the Chinese are loans or the kind of whatever barter, whatever it is. Because then you shrink your policy space, because the IMF is a policeman kind of third world countries' economies, and then they begin to tell you what to do. Don't go to China, don't go to this place, and etc. So we need to be very, very independent-minded about these things, and then we can get a headway without necessarily antagonizing our partners one way or the other. We must show that we are an independent country.
Prof, so is this seeming acceptance of China into Ghana going to have any consequences on international relations with the U.S. and any other country?
No, absolutely not. It depends on how you play. When you are playing the Chinese against the Americans in some areas, yes. But then if you can't take a loan from America and go and buy things in China, for example. But if you are having some trade links with China, specifically, it's unless there is some sanctions, international sanctions against China, and you want to overrun it, then of course the Americans will be annoyed, or the British will be annoyed. Of course, they will warn you. As we speak now, there is a possibility that the British High Commissioner over here, the American ambassador over here might not be happy about one or two things, but they'll call, they will tell, they will quietly go to our Ministry of Foreign Affairs and say, we are not happy about this. Remember, we have signed agreement with you on this. The military cooperation that we are seeking with China now, America will not be happy because we have agreement with them and things like that. But you need to know how to worm your way through these kind of geopolitical kind of envy and jealousy and that kind of thing.
Thank you very much, Professor Vladimir Nchidanso is an international relations expert and the Dean of Economic Affairs, Ghana Armed Forces Command and Staff. You're still watching News at 10 on TV3. We're back with more stories after this break. Don't go away. This is News at 10 on TV3, which is also live on DSTV channel 279. Lack of ambulance is affecting effective healthcare delivery at the Richard Novati Catholic Hospital, popularly referred to as the Komboni Hospital at Sogakope. Patients are mostly carried on a motorbike to the hospital as the facility depends on commercial vehicles for emergency referral. A report by Peter Kwao Adato.
The Komboni Hospital, one of the best health facilities in the South Tong district, serves over 75 communities in the district, but is faced with lots of challenges. Top of the challenges is the absence of an ambulance service, which is said to be a major challenge in the entire Volta region. Officials of the hospital say they depend on commercial vehicles for emergency referral cases, which often result in complications and sometimes avoidable deaths. Another concern is the absence of hospital beds, wheelchairs, structures, incubator, baby cots, among other essentials. Lying in beds in the maternity wards, for instance, are not in good shape. Delivery beds are also obsolete and weak, resulting in delivery complications. Officials say the challenges are being worsened by lack of government support for the hospital. Human Resource Manager of the hospital, Adolf Bamsa, said they depend mainly on meager internally generated funds to run the facility.
The average OPD attendance now is 190 daily. If Richard Novati Catholic Hospital can also be recognized as one of the hospitals giving health care.
The cries of the hospital attracted the attention of Network of Women in Growth, a national vocational training institute, who came to the aid of the maternity ward with incubators, 3-in-1 baby cots, and other materials.
Let's still stay with health because the Japan Health Center has taken delivery of an ambulance and other health-related items worth 100,000 cedis to help promote quality health care delivery. The gesture by the MP for North Tong, Samuel Okujeto Ablakwa, was in fulfillment of a campaign promise.
The Japan Health Center was established in the early 1990s and was fully completed in 2009. The facility serves many communities in the North Tong district and beyond. Cases from the facility are often referred to the Volta Regional Hospital in Ho, the Akosombo Hospital and the Kolebu Teaching Hospital in Accra. However, these referral cases are usually done through public transport due to the absence of a well-equipped ambulance. But these challenges are partially over following the presentation of a fully equipped ambulance to the facility. The new ambulance was in fulfillment of a 2016 campaign promise by the Member of Parliament for the area, Samuel Okujeto Ablakwa.
At your destination, and we can save lives because lives are precious. Avoidable deaths because we have emergency systems so more like complete.
Officer in charge of Japan Health Center, Agnes Agbonyefia, pledged to put the offer to good use.
We pledge that we use it for the benefit of the people and the disabled.
The senior divisional chief of Dofo traditional area, Togbi Anansi Tiruku, was commending the MP appeal for the health center to be elevated to a hospital status.
In their quest to extend products and services to the doorsteps of their customers, some entrepreneurs in Kumasi have literally put their businesses on wheels. In this special report, Ibrahim Abubakar looks at how the innovation of mobile businesses is fast gaining roots in the Kumasi metropolis.
Alfred Frimpong, popularly known as Bestman, has been in the barbering vocation for the past 18 years. In the beginning, he walked to homes to woo clients for a clean shave at their doorsteps. Bestman earned enough to open a salon close to the Kumasi Technical University, but he soon realized patronage slowed any time school was on vacation. He also observed some clients had too tight a working schedule to come for a shave. To stay in business, the 38-year-old entrepreneur opted to invest in a mobile service by converting his old VW LT40 minibus into a barbering salon. This bus has been redesigned to fit a modern salon with installed solar system to power all electronic gadgets in the van. The mobile barbering shop has a standby generator should the solar system fail. A 34-inch television set hangs in the salon to keep customers entertained. According to Bestman, patronage has been encouraging.
We have lauded his innovation because he offers affordable and convenient service.
With this innovation, Bestman is able to drive to the doorstep of customers to offer them satisfactory haircuts at an affordable price and with incentives. And his clients are excited.
You can call him at any time and he will just come to your place and give you a haircut, a nice one also.
Another entrepreneur here in the Central Business District of Idum offers door-to-door food services from a truck. The truck is often parked at the ministries to serve workers with a wide range of local and continental dishes. Some customers who used to walk a distance to buy food say the mobile service has come as a relief.
When you are hungry, you go outside and buy food from a long distance. But so far as I have brought here, you can come here and then everybody around the follow state buy food here.
The adoption of mobile businesses is indeed becoming a preferred choice for business owners who value customer satisfaction. Bestman, for instance, plans to expand by acquiring a bigger bus to serve his growing clientele. The flexibility and convenience of reaching out to customers perhaps will always give a boost to the businesses on wheels.
As the conversation on taxing churches deepens, the Commissioner General of the Ghana Revenue Authority, GRA, has given some clarity on areas that churches will be taxed. Emmanuel Kofinti says the authority will intensify education on tax compliance whilst ensuring that all taxable persons and organizations are roped in the tax laws of Ghana. A report by Beatrice Piogabra.
Since the announcement by the Ghana Revenue Authority that churches will be taxed, there have been mixed reaction, especially from the clergy and other stakeholders. The controversy has also surrounded which specific areas of the church's activities will be taxed. Addressing the 55th annual session of the Ghana Baptist Convention at Ejura in the Ashanti region, Commissioner General of the Ghana Revenue Authority said under the current Income Tax Act, incomes derived by religious bodies from business activities which are taxable include sale of anointing oil, water, spiritual consultation fee, disposal of assets, operation of bookshops, and operation of commercial transport.
If the church is getting profit from some of these activities, operating under a guarantee or a trust, and the benefits are not to individuals, that one they can be excused on their taxes. The income of an individual may arise from sources including salaries, wages, overtime, leave pay, bonus, and similar employment income. Income from business, income from investment, gifts derived in course of employment, business, and investment. While the income is to the benefit of a specific individual, that income is subject to tax.
He also pointed out that religious organizations must also register for VAT if they make taxable supplies and their annual turnover from taxable supply exceed 200,000 cedis. Emmanuel Kofi Nti indicated the GRA has initiated training programs to ensure full compliance with the tax laws. President of the Ghana Baptist Convention, Reverend Dr. Ernest Edu-Jemfi, believes the churches have their story to tell on how they utilize their tithes and offerings.
During this past year, we have received accreditation and payroll mechanization for 7 new Baptist health facilities by the Christian Health Association of Ghana, that is CHAD, and the Ghana government. It is noteworthy to say that the church is operating in areas where regular governmental facilities are not available.
Obviously, the discussion around churches being taxed is one that is not ending anytime soon. But for us here at TV3, that's how we end this edition of News at 10. Many thanks for joining us. If you joined us on DSTV, it was channel 279. My name is Grace Hamwasari. Good evening.